So I think the way that the Twitch notification thing works is if you log in and it's been a while, they all pop up at once, because I got like 3 notifications for new Twitch followers.
That's weird because I don't see anybody following us in the last week.
On Twitch?
Yeah, I'm looking at the dashboard right now.
This is not going to go well.
Why?
Dog needs to calm down. Hey, lay down.
He's fine. Bring your dog to work day.
He's been coming to work with me all week because of his knee surgery.
Thomas, I'm glad you have stuff on your Trello board, buddy. 'Cause I ain't got nothing.
Look at mine. Mine is full.
Full of crap.
Yeah, well, whatever. Whatever.
John, it's your week to talk about Honey Badger. I hope you're prepared.
I am not.
Awesome.
I didn't know I had a week. I like when we pre-recorded the last one. Or the other one. I'm getting
good.
feedback.
Yeah, we do that now, remember? With Tom's new setup. Apparently it's normal.
Streaming science and technology. Liars.
That is what it is.
Liars, liars, pants on fires.
Where do you see that?
Right on the thing, right on Tom's
Stream elements from Twitch.
Oh yeah, Twitch. Yeah, that's the category we stream under. I see some people do it under podcasting. But...
I would put it under just chatting because that's a bigger category.
Probably change it.
Very few dropped packets this time. Oh, nope, there it goes.
Well, I think if we go under just chatting, somebody's going to have to be in a hot tub.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Generally.
I'm not doing just chatting. Science and technology, man. That's where all the coders are. That's where the coders hang out.
Did you retweet? I don't even have my Twitter tool up.
I did. Mm.
Why is my computer hurting so bad?
Are you still doing this on a Windows machine? How many boxes do you have now? Oh, so you got rid of your Linux?
I still have it, but it's just gathering dust.
Mm-hmm.
And we lost John.
No,
I think he turned it off. Yeah,
just for a minute. You don't need to see what I'm about to do.
Is it dog poop related?
Nope.
It sounds terrifying.
Dexter's doing something.
No. Yeah.
All right. Zencast going. Everything going. Let me move.
Zencaster is going.
I can't. Okay.
You gonna hit some music?
Let's
Get
do
us
it.
hyped up here?
Let's do it to it.
1, 2, 1, 2. Coming off the top, y'all know how we do. Listen, I'ma drop a freestyle you can cherish. I'ma send a shout out to the host named Eric. Yo, he's never on some average shit. You know, Eric, he stays loud and passionate. I'm about to break it down for y'all with the clever song. Yo, shout the host named Thomas, cause he's never wrong. Yo, shout to John. You know that he's smart and quiet, unlike my freestyles, which cause a riot. I'm about to do it like this, cause the people love me. Shouts out to PHP, the ugly. It's called ugly cause it's not professional, but I'm about to come through and bless it with style. So let's do it when I'm spitting, I perfume the room. Yo, the segment of the show is called Doom and Gloom. That came from Thomas. Yeah, can nobody go beyond this? I get the mic and then I'm about to keep it like a promise. Yeah, and y'all know we fill them up with anguish. We talking about the PHP, the programming language. About to break it down, no exaggeration. What do y'all do for a living? Web applications. Okay, I can dig it. My words spray tight. They getting together on the Thursday nights. Yeah, when it comes to rhyming, you can call me the new dude. I spew true lyrics while y'all broadcast on YouTube. So let's get it. You know my lyrics are major. All up in the comments, they got plenty of haters, but they doing what they doing. Keep it ugly. We ending every show with the saying it's lovely. Let's go. Hey, shout out to
Let's go.
Let's go.
Still the
Need a
best part of Thursday night ever is that.
need a way to fade that out, man. The way you cut it off, my nipples are just getting hard, and you just stop the
edited
music.
the video. You can make an edit where it fades out.
Very, yeah. Are you ready to go?
I'm ready to go.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
You're listening to episode 237 of PHP Ugly. I'm your weekly host, Eric Van Johnson, and with me is John Congdon
Happy birthday, Dad.
and Tom Rideout.
That's funny. I figured you would have started Zencaster when you were ready to go.
Zencaster's running, isn't it?
Yes.
Nope, it's not.
I see the little red arrow.
You're listening to episode 237 of PHP Ugly. I am your host, Eric Van Johnson, and with me is John Congdon.
Try that again. Happy birthday, Dad. I want to see if I can confuse you again.
You just and Tom Rideout.
Happy birthday, John's dad. Don't buy
You
Dogecoin.
just make my editing duties twice as hard because by the time I edit it, they don't hear the first one. So the fact that you said, let me do this again, now I have to edit that out.
And I gotta edit this part out too.
I know.
Just leave it in.
You know what?
Just
None
leave it
of
all
this is
in.
getting edited out. If you're listening to this podcast and all this is in here, it's because I got to be on the road early tomorrow morning and I ain't editing this crap this week. That's all there is to it.
Man.
It's your dad's birthday, huh?
It is 73.
Nice.
I guess I wasn't supposed to say that. He's 49.
You know,
Edit that out.
he was
Whatever.
at one point. Cool. Well, see, now, now I got cat issues. Tom's had cat issues all day, and now I have a cat issue.
Eric,
What do you mean? How have you had? What do you mean you've had cat issues all day? What does
Eric
that
and
mean?
I were doing some pair programming earlier today, and my cat decided that on top of my network switch was the place to sleep today. So, in its sleep, it kicked out the Ethernet cable that connected all of my machines to the main network, and had to fix that a couple times.
We had fun though. Tom, you were a massive help.
So glad
I
you
really
said
did
help.
enjoy our little pair program session. And your cat inspired me as well. Next week, we're getting a new kitten.
Aw.
My wife has been wanting this kitten and has been talking to me about it, and I've been pushing back, and she finally broke me. And so next week, she's picking up a new kitten. And after having a conversation with you, when we sit down as a family and try to name this thing, I'm going to toss out the name of 5. And they'll say, why? And I'm like, because then it will be known as Cat 5. Come on, Cat 5.
Then name it. Maybe 5E.
Name it 6E.
Yeah, true. I'm out of
Name
the
it
game.
Gigabit.
I don't know the latest stuff anymore.
So
Or
Tom
just-
was a huge help. We did everything through the Code with Me on PHP Storm. We started on Zoom, and then we decided to switch over to PHP Storm and do Code with Me. And something interesting I saw, John, maybe we can test this one day, is in PHP Storm now, because when we first played with Code with Me, it was beta release. It wasn't official. It wasn't whatever. It was beta. And when Tom hung up with me, well, before Tom hung up with me, I noticed that in PHP Storm, it now had a setting that said join a meeting. I'm like, hey, wait a minute, was that there before? Because before it started a separate client, because I went through and clicked on the link. I wonder if you can join through the client. And I meant to ask you, Thomas, did you join through a separate client, or were you still in your PHP Storm?
I'll have you know, and I hadn't told you this yet because I wanted to save it for the show. I don't have PHP Storm installed on that machine.
Oh, so you did the thin
So
client.
what happened was you sent me the link, and the link said, hey, here's the thin client installer for your Mac. So go ahead and run that. And the thin client installer also included the meeting code. So once it was done installing, it just joined right into the meeting.
Yeah, that's the experience John and I had when we were testing it before. But I think, I mean, it was giving me the impression that wasn't needed. But that was cool. And then I noticed when Tom hung up, so we were doing video and chat, which is typically I don't do that through PHP Storm.
Right.
No particular reason. We just don't do it. But when
Because
Tom
we already
hung
pay
up-
for Zoom.
Right. When Tom hung up, I noticed that the panel that was hosting his video flipped to a splash screen of Jitsi. So Jitsi, if you're not familiar, is like a open source Hangout, Zoom meeting thing. They have a paid version too, but it's open source. So I saw that. I'm like, holy crap, that's how they're doing it. They have little Jitsi servers back there that's running this. I'm sure they've hacked it together, but I thought that was pretty cool. So yeah, I mean, it worked really well. I was happy. It was cool because I gave Tom edit ability to the code, and it was, I played more with the features than I think I did when it was in beta. Like, he would be working on the file, then I'd start following him, and I'd start working on something, and he'd start following me, and I don't know, it was cool.
They had those features when it was in beta too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we just hadn't really
I just
played
didn't
with them
really
as
play with it
much.
that much.
Right. So what
So
kind
it
of
was-
you said he
worked out
helped you
really
out a
well.
lot. Anything you can share? Like what kind of things you were working on, or
So I'd been banging my head against the desk all day because I was trying to implement some policies, and I knew they were a little funky because so this is a Laravel application, and there's a naming convention you can do so that you basically create a policy with the same name as your model. So if it's a user model, you would have a user policy sort of thing. And I kind of knew what I was doing was a little funky, but I thought it should have been working. And I was trying to route model binding, and that's what was really throwing me off. I was trying to route model binding in Laravel, and it wasn't behaving like I thought it should be behaving. And Tom helped me figure that out. He's like, oh yeah. You're binding to this model, but you're passing the parameter of another model, and it was kind of cool because we were like, well, that model does have these two models have relationships. I wonder if we can get to it through the relationship, and we tried a couple of things and it didn't work, so we worked it out. I definitely would not have figured it out because I was caught in the cycle of I had backed myself so far out that I'm like, wait a minute. maybe I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I've done policies in the past, but maybe there's something wrong here. Like, I must be missing something, and I couldn't even get like basic, like a die and dump working. I'm like, this is wrong. Like, there's something not lining up. That's when I reached out to Tom.
That was the issue, is that it was a comedy of errors where there were 3 sort of basic misunderstandings happening simultaneously, and trying to diagnose just one of them was getting us nowhere. So we had to start all the way back to the routes and figure out why the route was 404ing when it shouldn't have been. And so once we got that resolved, we had tried to fix the permissions thing before that, but it wasn't getting us anywhere. So once we figured out that the route was resolving incorrectly, then we could start moving forward again and undo sort of what we had tinkered around with.
That I find that often happens when I'm trying to figure something out and I'm banging my head against the desk like you were. I end up just throwing 10 things out there, like maybe it's this, maybe it's that, and then I forget to undo them and kind of screw things up.
Well, and I've got these.
So
I've got these 2 giant monitors. So when Eric asked if I could help, I said sure, and I've got 8 Laravel documents open at once, and I'm trying to read all. Yeah, no, I know this stuff by heart. This is easy. Which page is that? That's not authentication. That's activation. Oh God. So we eventually figured it out. It was pretty cool.
So what is route model binding?
Oh, so in Laravel, if you pass a variable in the URL, you can actually do a route model binding to it. So you can say, hey, that variable is associated to the model, user, whatever that is, and then you pass it the variable name. So the variable name is user. You say, okay, that's a route model binded to the user model, and then it just does what did you say it did, Thomas? Like a first or fail?
So its default configuration is that you give it a type hinted model, and it does a first or fail on the ID column of that model. So
you're passing in just the ID parameter? You're not passing in the model.
That was issue 1.
That's
so
in
issue
the
1 was in the route.
Right.
We were passing in the name, the username, which it was trying to look up against the wrong column. And because route model binding happens before the controller is resolved, it'll just give you a 404 page. And if you try to debug it in the controller, you'll get nowhere. The controller never gets called. So that was issue 1, where if you do, if you have the name of the variable in the URL and then colon and then the name of the column it's supposed to look up on, then it'll resolve based on that column.
Mm-hmm.
And then issue number 2 was a naming convention issue where the 2 models that were related to each other had very similar names that was causing us to misunderstand what model was being passed where.
Right.
So once we got that resolved, then we could go into the Blade template and say, if the user can do this, then show a button to allow him to do it.
That was the first time I used that can
the directive,
syntax. Yeah, I'm like I always see it, like Jeffrey Way or something will be doing a tutorial. I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool, but whenever I do it, I always do the auth user. It's just like muscle memory, if auth user.
So interestingly enough, I use that quite a bit now, and I also use custom requests. Do you guys use custom requests at all?
What do you mean? Is it a Laravel thing or no? Then no.
So a custom request is an extension to the normal request object that you can type hint on a controller method. And it allows you to do authentication, validation, error messages all within that one object before you're hitting the controller itself. So custom requests are super cool. You can do authentication within them. So you've got your backend secured. Not
Isn't that middleware?
No, it comes after the middleware. But what you can do is if you're using a custom request, you can have all of your rules defined in it for what fields are allowed and what fields aren't allowed and everything. And in your controller method, you can say request validated, and it will only pass you the validated values from your request object.
So is that custom request per route? It's not like a custom request for your application.
It's a custom request per route. So we have, we have create billing request, update billing request, delete billing request. We have one for every route. And it's very fun. And Buttery Crumpets is saying it was his only aha moment he's had with Laravel, and it definitely is. Like, you can, it's the problem with custom requests, if you don't know about them, they can kind of hide in your method declarations. You just sort of ignore the fact that they're there, because they do all of their work before the method gets called. They do all their work when they're interpreted by the autoloader. So they're sort of hiding a lot of the secrets, but it makes controller methods very clean. It removes all the validation and authentication from your controller methods.
Yeah, this sounds a lot like what were they called before? Form requests, right? Is this
very
like
similar?
Is this like the same thing?
So that wouldn't be a Laravel thing then, because I'm sure it's happening in the constructor of that request object, right? The request.
Well, the request object is
the
a custom request thing.
Well, what I'm saying is the custom request is an object in all the validations happening in the constructor, right?
No, it's happening. No,
Basically.
It's happening on the dependency injection. So
no, right, but it's happening at that point. But the code is in the constructor.
No, the code it's a full-on object. It has authenticate, validate. So there is, I'm sure there is a constructor that executes those things as the base request object, because it inherits that.
I'm saying that to say this isn't a Laravel thing, because I can see easily doing that in my own routes, adding this request, custom request object, and let it also consume in the request, do its validation, and then be passed into
the difference with the fact that it's Laravel is that it also ties into Laravel's authentication and permission system already. So you can do authentication, like lengthy authentication stuff, within the request before you get to the controller, which is handy.
That's very cool, actually. I never took advantage of the form requests that Laravel had. I always did it the hard way, I'd throw it in the controller or something. Just because I'm lazy. I didn't feel like creating another file. But this looks even cooler. So what would be the use case where you would use this over a form? Oh, so this would be validating. This would be validating those fields regardless. Like if it's like what we were working on today, where it was part of the URL, it was part of a GET, it would have validated that name, even though a form really wasn't submitted.
Right.
Oh man, why haven't I been using this?
It can do quite a lot. The validated thing is one of my favorite parts. So there's a Laravel rule called sometimes. Have you ever seen that? And I always wondered what the hell the sometimes rule was for. And it turns out that sometimes just means this field, when this field exists, validate it and pass it in with the validated contents.
Right.
So you can make sure that no one is passing in form fields that don't actually exist, and then you're just passing them straight into your model. It's a way of running a filter over all the input fields that were sent before even putting it into your model. So we do auth validate, and then we get the validated data and push it straight to the model. And because it's been sanitized and validated, we know that there's no extra form fields going in. There's no, it's, if they knew the model structure, they couldn't fake an input and make themselves an admin because it's filtered out by not being in the rules.
So now I guess my question is flipped. Why would you are form requests are form requests still a thing, or does this completely
This
replace
might have
that?
totally replaced it.
That's a good question, because I can't imagine. I now I can't think of a use case where you would use a form request over a custom.
And Frank over in Discord is saying custom request just extends the request object. Which, by the way, if you're watching us on YouTube right now and you keep seeing Discord little messages pop up in the bottom left, you too can join us at discord.phpugly.com. Come join us, hang out, chit chat.
That's right. Yes. If you're here, we assume you know these things, but not always the case, I assume.
Exactly. So I've been looking at doing request validation outside of the controller recently as well, and this just has me thinking of different ways to do it. And the fact that Frank brought up the fact that these just extend the request makes it that much more appealing.
This
Because
is very appealing. Yeah.
The request object that I'm using in our application already extends the request object, but just to add some syntactical sugar on top of it, but to do a custom one per route that can do all your validation makes a whole lot of sense.
And
That way
So
you're
what's
getting a valid request.
and not
into
just all your
method.
validation is, it won't even continue on to the method that was called if the validation fails or the authentication fails. It immediately calls, if it's
Right.
authentication error, it immediately calls a 401 permission. And if it's a validation error, it immediately redirects back with the error bag. So it's...
I like that a lot.
If you had an empty method in one of your controllers, just had a return view, but in your arguments you had a custom request, then you can authenticate, validate, and modify messages or modify header types or anything like that in that request. And you've got just a one-line, oh, thank you, Wayne. New Patreon.
Wayne, new Patreon. Oh, I should have looked at that, by the way.
You did. You updated the Patreon
Thank you, Wayne.
list. So your controller ends up having methods that are just 1, 2, 3 lines total, because all of your logic, all your
my mind is
it's
racing.
super nice. All your business logic ends up in a business logic request.
I just like the fact that it's not a Laravel specific thing, so I can use it too.
Well, yeah.
It is a Laravel
This
specific thing. You can't
this
It is
use.
not.
implementation is.
It is not.
It
I am
is.
using it. I am claiming it. I am using it. I'm liking the fact that you can, like you said, limit the variables that are being posted, so that I'm expecting these 5 variables. And if I get anything else, screw that person. Just kick them out. I don't want that request coming in.
Exactly.
You know what else I like?
What's that?
Cloudways.
We bring today's podcast to you in cooperation with Cloudways, a managed cloud hosting platform built for your PHP projects. If you simply wish to focus on your business, Cloudways is the way to go. They take over server management and security and free up time that you can dedicate to growing your business and acquiring new clients. Their platform offers you a choice of infrastructure as a service partners, such as AWS, Google Cloud, DigitalOcean, Linode, and Vultr. In addition, you get a performance-optimized stack, managed backups, and staging environment where you can test your code before pushing it to live servers. Best of all, Composer and Git come pre-installed so you can get your projects up and running quickly. All this power, simplicity, and peace of mind falls right in line with their brand slogan, moving dreams forward. Be sure to visit cloudways.com today, sign up using the promo code PHPUgly, and get a $25 credit.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Cloudways.
Thanks, Cloudways.
So
What the hell were we talking
so
about?
Frank in Discord was saying that that form requests was the old name for what is now custom request objects.
Ah, thank you, Frank. Yeah, I was wondering because it sounds like the same thing, but yeah, cool,
Yeah.
man.
So John and I had another conversation in Discord earlier today about webhooks.
We did.
And I
Wait,
massively misunderstood. I saw webhooks and I thought WebSockets and immediately started down the wrong path.
Yeah, they're kind of
What-
different.
But you shared a link about a webhook server, and you're talking about a standalone process, a long running process. I'm like, a webhook is nothing more than an endpoint that accepts data. Why is this? What am I missing here?
Okay. It gets better.
Okay.
I was actively in the process of writing a webhook during this time. In my IDE, I had a webhook open that I was configuring for a new service we were using and still misunderstood what was going on.
Happens to the best of us, man.
So, just a warning, yes, you can come to the Discord channel and we can try to help you out, but there's no guarantee we won't drive you down the completely wrong path just out of absent-mindedness.
It's funny. So I don't even know if we ever ended up helping Israel, who was asking the question. And I don't understand where the hangup is. He's using Zapier, or is trying to integrate with Zapier and trying to consume a webhook. But it sounds like he was tasked with creating it in a separate application, and that doesn't make any sense to me. Unless all you're doing is writing an application to suck in the data from the webhook and then put it into some sort of job queue that your actual application is going to run. But if you're not doing that, if you really need your core application to interact with that data, why is it not just an endpoint there? Especially if you need to start dealing with authentication. I'm assuming you already have authentication in your application somehow. So then you can configure that from Zapier, hit the endpoint, take all the webhook data in, and then decide what to do with it. I would recommend still making it a job that you deal with outside of that request, because if you take any amount of time, you can screw up that whole flow. But webhooks themselves are not that difficult to get your head wrapped around.
Which is why I'm kind of confused that I was able to and succeeded in finding a Spady package for doing webhooks. Because it
as a server,
it doesn't seem like
that I didn't
right. It doesn't seem like that's actually useful in any way whatsoever.
So I didn't click on it because we said save it for the show. What is the Laravel webhook server that you linked to?
So Spady/Laravel-webhook-server allows you to configure and send webhooks in a Laravel app easily, has support for signing calls, retrying calls, and back-off strategies. So I believe...
Oh, so this is for sending out of your application, not
yes,
receiving.
I believe that it is not only for sending, but it's for highly fault-tolerant behaviors. The kind of thing, Spady does every couple days. Some new highly fault-tolerant package that everyone needs but didn't know they needed.
So this is fascinating with the retrying and the back-off strategies, because I hit like Salesforce constantly, and constantly getting their 10-secondly API rate limit. You can only hit them so many times within a 10-second period, and I have my own strategy built in where if I see that, I just reschedule the job for somewhere between 10 seconds and a minute later.
Sometime,
Just randomly, so that assuming it will all average out over time and be fine. So far, so good. But the fact that it's built into the product, to this library, looks pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's back off strategies have ways of tracking how many errors have occurred and multiplying the time that it waits by that number of retries. So it doesn't try every 5 seconds. It tries 5 seconds later the first time, then 10 the second time, and then 20 the third time. Some sort of exponential handling. So,
right.
Yeah, no, leave it to Spady to make us all look bad. I mean,
I still don't understand why it is a quote unquote server. It seems like that's more of a some sort of job handler.
I think that's what it. I think it's a standalone, basically queue manager.
Gotcha. Sounds interesting. If I were a Laravel developer, I might look at it.
I mean, that's the thing, is that anytime I look at a package and it's got Spady in the front of it, I go, oh, this is too much for the use case that we have. And then I start reading and I'm like, Jesus, these are all really great ideas. And, oh man, this implementation is going to take 3 times longer now because I thought I had it all figured out. No, turns out Spady's got everything figured out before me.
Bastard. I bought that
Such
guy
a nice guy,
a couple
too.
of drinks. Oh yeah, when we were in Chicago, he ended up back at the hotel we were staying at, and we had a few drinks with him. Probably kept him out way later than we should have been, but he's a funny guy. That's Frick.
Freak Vanderhurten.
Yeah, he's pretty fun. Pretty fun person to hang out with.
Yes.
Those Belgians. I don't know. Is he Belgian? I don't know what he is, but he can drink.
Oh,
man.
yeah.
I tell you that we were pounding him. Holy crap, we were pounding him. That's right. Bucky says, don't forget to send him a postcard. You need to send him a postcard. I saw, it just came out today. I haven't dove into it. I read it off Laravel News. We have like a Laravel freaking podcast tonight, man. But better watch out, Michael. I know you're in Discord. Better watch out.
That first half was not Laravel. That first half was
It
not
was all
Laravel
very
specific.
Laravel. I believe we
Even
said
though you
Laravel
tried making it
several times. We said
even
Laravel.
though you tried making it
You're lucky
Laravel
I
specific,
haven't started
it
saying
wasn't.
Livewire yet.
Oh.
Livewire will be next. But that's not what I'm going to talk about. Not what I'm talking about. This caught my eye because it got me thinking. So Laravel News today posted a package called Sidecar. We talk a lot about doing serverless stuff and how to run PHP and Laravel applications on serverless architecture. This actually takes a little bit of a different approach, or at least my understanding of what this package does. I haven't played with it yet, but if I'm reading this correctly, what this does is it allows you to have a Laravel application and allows you to kick off jobs on AWS Lambda. So let's say, again, I haven't read the damn article. I'm sure they have examples in here, but but if you have like an image processing job, right? Instead of trying to do it all, and that's all you need, like that extra power for. You want to offload that processing power from your web server, and let that work somewhere else, and then get it back to your web server. If I understand what this package does, this is what this allows you to do. It allows you to say, okay, send this to AWS Lambda. I assume you have to write the Lambda still yourself, and process this image, crunch these numbers, do whatever you need, and then get me the results back. And it's like, that is, if that's what it does, and I really should have read this article before I started talking about it, but if that's what it does, it just struck me as like, that's really what that serverless architecture is for. Instead of trying to throw everything at it and trying to have it do everything for you, just figure out if you have this big, because we have this with a few of our clients where we have it's like scraping websites or something like that, and we have a couple of processes that take a lot of processing power. And if we could offload that processing power to a Lambda somewhere and then just wait for the results, it's like, yeah, that's really how this should be. I need to look into this again. I just tried reading it while you guys were talking. I didn't get very far.
I'm still not getting the whole serverless thing. Like I understand it from a conceptual point of view, but
it's
if I
CPU on
already have a
CPU
server,
on demand.
Right, but what you're saying is I have a job server where I'm handling my jobs currently. You're saying this package, instead of handling it locally, is going to send it somewhere else, but I'm probably have CPU cycles on the server I'm already
No, you
on.
have CPU cycles on the server you're on. So the Reddit hug of death. It used to be
No,
called
I don't.
It used to be called getting slash dotted, where you've got a site on a server that's very low power, and you're used to 100 hits a day, and then all of a sudden 4 million hits come in 10 minutes. Then if you had a scaling system with Lambda, your small server would start saying, oh, offload tasks to Lambda, start processing these things.
Yeah, but you're not. But you're not serving your website from Lambda.
No, but
No.
Your website may be doing some heavy mathematics every once in a while.
And that's the key here, right? Web servers don't need to be big honking
Right.
machines, but you may have functionality within your website that does require some big honking machine, or at least sprints of processing power. So why do you go to DigitalOcean and pay $300 a month because you have this one process that runs every hour, or whenever a user makes this one request, we have to do all this stuff, when you can have a $50 a month server, and then for that one process, hand it off to Lambda. I mean, that's the whole purpose of Lambda, right? It only spins up and runs when you need it to do that one specific function,
Right.
that one specific
Now,
thing. That's when it does all the stuff.
Buttery Crumpets is pointing out that, like, yeah, this happens, and then you get a bill from Amazon for $8,000, and that's absolutely
so
true. But the idea with Lambda is that you should have your cost benefit calculated before you start using it. You should know what you earn from having this thing run on Lambda, and you should know that it's profitable to do it on Lambda instead of by buying a server. So, yeah, you can get a surprise really big bill, but if you've done things correctly, your profit is offsetting that really big bill.
I'm not doing it correctly.
No, we know.
We're not doing it at all.
Well,
No, we
Did it
we
for a
tried.
short- did it
We
for a short
tried.
period
You
of
don't
time.
serve a whole website.
Okay, time out. Stop making us sound like idiots. Okay, we didn't try. We were checking out Laravel Vapor and seeing what it took to run it and what that base cost was. We weren't
Well,
looking
yes.
to replace a server at the time. I mean, it's just we accomplished what we were trying to accomplish. We dragged our ass pulling it off. We should have pulled
that's
it
what
off.
that's
sooner,
what I'm
but-
getting at, is that the attentiveness to the bill that kept getting larger and larger was the trying part.
Yeah, and that was just cost of doing business. Now we have an idea of what it takes to spin up something in Vapor, how much it costs, what's the expensive parts. So when a client comes and says, "Why don't we run this on serverless?" we can tell them why. So we did what we were supposed to do. I mean, I get it was funny at first, but like, we're not idiots, okay? It's not like we didn't know what we were doing. It's just we were trying. We
I
were
don't know. I'm
figuring
still
it
getting
out.
called microwave guy.
Oh, that's a different thing. That is funny.
Laravel News also had a fun little article about a new type of relationship that isn't the one I wanted. You can now add a one of many relationship in Laravel. And by now I mean as of this morning, because this patch went out this morning, because that's the development cycle of Laravel.
Now we're starting to slam Laravel. Okay, we're getting back into our comfort zone here. This is good. Okay. All right.
Yeah, so
This says it's coming to. You just didn't read the article soon enough. This was released 2 days ago. The article came out 2 days ago. You said it was released today. You just weren't on top of reading up on it.
It was merged the same day, and then I believe Tuesday night is the patch
Basically,
day.
It was merged without Tom approving it in GitHub before they merged it, and he's bitter.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
what is this? I totally missed this one.
It just runs an aggregate on your query. So if you have like 10, if you have comments that a user owns on posts, then you can say has many comments, and then get latest of many. So it uses the created at column to get you the most recent comment, or oldest of many, which gets you the first comment that you wrote.
Okay. So as typical, if you listen to the show long enough, you know this is one of Tom's pet peeves, and I have supported him on the whole Taylor decides something is a good idea and then throws it in the next release of Laravel. But again, the one thing I want to point out, and I'll point it out with this, is that it's if you're not using it, right? Because it wasn't there before, so your shit's not going to break. It's just there if you want to use it now. So it's not like
it's just a new
it's
thing.
not like he's released.
It's just a new vector.
Is it? Yeah. Okay. But if you're not using it, it doesn't apply to you. Like if you're worried about the security,
yeah, but it's
not
not it's not even remotely necessary, because there's already an aggregate system built into Eloquent, and the relationship already returns a relationship object that you can just add this to. Yeah, it's gonna get to a point where you're stacking shit on shit and it gets too high. That's my issue. This is.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask this: let's say he comes out with one new feature, every other week, right? Which might actually be pretty accurate. I don't know. What would that be? That would be like 26 features a year. Would you rather the next release of Laravel just have 26 new things in it you need to learn, like 26 of these minor little
as opposed to having to read the release notes every Tuesday? Yes.
You don't have to read it. Like, it doesn't apply to you. You're not using it. The only thing you need to release, like, if next week he pulls this out, then you want to read that release note, because it's a backwards break.
Or if Wednesday it turns out that this introduced a giant security flaw because it was reviewed for all of 5 hours by 2 people and then implemented in the next patch level that also handles security patches, by the way. So if you just want to stay security patched, you have to integrate all of the new features that come in as well.
And I'll grant you that. I'll grant you that is an issue. But again, if you're not using the features, they're not a security. They're not as big of a security threat to you.
No, that's not true, because there have been plenty of rolled back new features. I think I can count 4 from 2000 where there was a patch and then a rollback the next hour or 2 or day later where it's oops, this broke all the time zones. There's been plenty of that.
I do recall that happening maybe once, but I think that's a risk. That's a risk whenever. And go back to he released 26 features, and then something breaks. Now you got to figure out what new feature broke time zones.
But there's
I don't know.
There's
I mean,
people who want
I
to run.
kinda
There's
go
people
both
who
ways.
want to run bleeding edge versions, and that's fine. But don't call it enterprise.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with you there. And I think you have a point there too. I think there should be a stable branch, and there should be a more bleeding edge branch.
Well,
I think
yeah.
that's valid.
Or
as
go
well.
the way everyone else does
And
and
I
have
definitely-
nightly builds. A nightly build is called that for a reason. Run that one. There's people who'd love to run your nightlies for you, Taylor. They're your biggest fans.
Yes, it's true. Yeah, I do line up with you on how arbitrary things that get in and how they're reviewed happens. I agree with you on that. I think Laravel's a big enough project now that with its open source nature in mind, there should probably be more eyes on it, some formal board or group or something. But all that aside, it is an open source project. It is Taylor's project. So if he likes running and gunning, then he can run and gun.
Sure,
but
absolutely. It's his.
I agree. You can't call it enterprise
And be this fast and loose.
it wouldn't be a horrible idea.
It's
It wouldn't be a horrible idea to have a stable branch.
But
and,
now, okay,
and a
you said
non-stable.
you can remember maybe one time last year that this happened. I just remembered that last week and the week before we were having all those conversations about Flock, and that Taylor had disabled Flock by default, and I believe that was rolled back in the next version. So that's 1 week ago.
But that was different, right? That wasn't a new feature that you had to implement. That was something that has sweeping change to the system.
That's not a good
And-
defense. That is-
Well, I think it is though. I putting this on that level, I think are two different arguments. This is something that you have the option of implementing. It's a new thing. You have the option of implementing it if you want to implement it.
Oh, the Flock thing never got tagged.
I don't know.
Okay, so just enough time out there for me to bitch about it and then have it be yanked out from under me. Perfect.
What do you mean it was never? What do you mean it was never?
It means
tagged?
it never made it to a
He was-
release.
Taylor was just trolling you. He sits up on the weekend and says, "How can I fuck with Tom this week? I know. I'm going to tell him I'm going to release something."
There have been
and then
there
just watch
have
him
been
lose the shit.
warnings. I told you about the password
Listen,
requirements.
It's not a
rule.
coincidence that the releases happen on Thursday and our show's on Thursday. I'm putting that out there. Go ahead.
I told you about the password requirements rule, where I submitted a ticket to enforce password requirements, and the response back the next day was, "Why wouldn't you use the rule that's already in the Laravel validation?" And I looked it up, and it had been added that morning. So we still kept my implementation because my implementation was a rule that we could use across the whole site. Whereas the version that was now in Laravel had to be individually, the same rules had to be defined on every validation. So what came out this week? Globally apply the password rules.
So you think he stole your idea?
No, I
Is that
think
what you're
he's
saying?
doing this. I think he's honestly listening to me and doing this on purpose.
Why do you need it? I don't know.
Because we have 20 endpoints that use
the
passwords.
global password. Exactly. I think it's a fantastic
thanks.
idea. I implemented it the moment it came
Thanks. Should have put my name on it.
out. I wish I had a friend that had that idea.
Pull
No, I
request
thought
are
that was a-
welcome.
I thought that when I saw that come out, I'm like, this is brilliant. The man who thought of this, or I shouldn't have said that. The developer who thought of this is obviously a well thought through developer.
And I want
That's
to
what I
be.
thought. The
I want to be
moment I
perfectly
saw it.
clear. That story about the password rule is not bullshit. I spent a day writing a new rule that had regular expressions that validated all the things we wanted to validate, pushed it out to QA, QA bounced it back immediately and said, you should have used the password validator that's already built into Laravel. It was, I was
So wait. Your QA people did this?
Yeah, my QA people, my code review.
They knew about it.
They didn't know about it. They looked at mine and said, that's strange that he wouldn't use the password validation, because that's got to be one of the default rules, right? And he pulled up the docs, and right there in the rules is a password validation rule. And he said, yeah, why did you write your own reg expressions? Because you just have the rule here, call the rule. And I said, what the fuck are you talking about? I looked at that page yesterday. There's no password validation rules. And lo and behold, yeah, that morning, that had been added to the documentation, and the new version of Laravel that came out that morning had a new rule called password validation. Yeah. Really happened.
And what does the password validation do?
It enforces upper and lowercase characters, symbols, password length, password reuse, I think, is one of the things it can make sure you don't do. Just cyclomatic complexity thing. It's just a bunch of regular expressions.
I like that. Somebody put that as a title. Cyclomatic.
How do you spell that? Complexity. I'm actually using that term completely wrong.
Put that as a title.
All right. I need to.
He is using it wrong, but I understand what you're trying to say.
I don't care if it's. I don't even know what it means, and I'm using it as our title. It's a software metric used. Complexity of program.
It's part of, if you, I forget which, is it LOC? I know it's lines of code, but there's a tool that will analyze your application and will tell you your cyclomatic complexity. And it's basically if you're doing a lot of branching, a lot of if else. Getting rid of your else reduces your cyclomatic complexity. Any loops you're doing increases it.
It's the nesting depth of your application. How badly does it nest? So it's a code smell thing.
Cool.
But you can use it in a regular expression, I suppose.
Either way,
somehow. I thought the some governing body came out and said, no, you shouldn't be restricting passwords, like ensuring that there's a special character or a certain number of
they're
digits.
Totally, even if that did happen, you need to enforce rules like that. Now, I'm all for the reusing old password rules, because the only time that I ever have to do that is when I thought I forgot my password, and then I go into the forgot password form and type in my new password, and it says, yeah, that's your current password, dummy.
You can't use it again.
Which that you shouldn't do. You should never disclose information about an account to a user that might not be authenticated.
But still, you shouldn't even know your password. You should be using a password manager.
Yes.
Speaking of which, somebody, was it NS Bucky sharing that no, it wasn't NS Bucky. Who shared that it was 1Password is now available in Linux? And
Michael Dorinda had it on his Twitter feed this morning. I don't know. You told me, though.
It was in Discord yesterday or the day before.
Oh, I missed it in Discord.
You responded to it. What are you talking about?
1Password? Oh. Yeah. Are you talking about 1Password on Linux?
Yes. It was in Discord. You responded to it in Discord.
Once again, if paying attention could cost us money, I'd call it AWS Lambda.
Anyway, the point being that we've been using 1Password for Linux for a while, but it turns out they are officially supporting it, and the application now is so much nicer.
Oh, A-Woods posted it.
And you responded to it right afterwards. Saying, we've been using that for a while.
Oh, I didn't realize that this was like the official supported. Okay. I totally dismissed it when I thought he was just saying, "Hey, look, you can run 1Password on Linux now." I'm like, "Yeah, we've been doing that. That's nothing new." I didn't realize that it was anything different than what we were already doing.
But then I said it again today, like, Eric, it's different. It's officially supported, and you thumbs up at 1 o'clock today.
That's what I said. I said I heard it from you, but Michael Dorinda had already posted it on his Twitter stream. That's exactly what I said.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Anyway,
You know what else is nice?
it's now officially supported.
Knowing what your application is doing when you're not around.
Well, God, that'd be amazing, but I don't think that's actually practical.
I hear it's a challenging, difficult thing to do. John?
Wow. You know who doesn't freeze up in the face of danger? Honey Badger.
Who? Honey Badger.
Honey Badger.
Oh, how would a honey badger? Not
Honey Badger don't give a fuck. Whereas John, when prompted to do the ad read, curls up and stares blankly at the camera.
hides in a corner. Even after being told, John, today's your day to do the honey badger piece, he still sits there quietly without a drop.
I haven't.
Ad. But he doesn't need to add a drop.
Why?
You know why? Because Honey Badger's got his back. He's not worried about it because he knows Honey Badger IO is watching his application and will notify him when there's an issue. He doesn't know why there's anything to say about it. It's so simple. It's cheap. Well, I mean, if you consider free,
I consider that
cheap,
pretty cheap, yeah.
yeah. Pretty
Inexpensive,
low
not
cost.
cheap.
Inexpensive, not cheap, yes.
Low cost, inexpensive. So, yeah, there's Honey Badger just happens. I mean, we're talking about it now because we're so excited about it, but it just happens to also be a sponsor of the show, and we may have some sort of commitment to talk about him. But we would still talk about him. We do like Honey Badger.
We do like Honey Badger. And I talked to a lot of people this week who like Honey Badger. I was doing some DevOps interviews, and Honey Badger is definitely on their list. Look at this. Look at how wonderful. This is just their status page, and even that is beautiful. I'm just clicking randomly on the website here, but
thank you, Honey Badger, for
thank you very
sponsoring
much,
us.
Honey
We
Badger.
do appreciate.
Thank you, Honey
I
Badger.
swear to God, if you sponsor us for another month, we'll make John do a pre-record a spot for you.
I haven't seen him lock up like that since he
did the
smoked
other
weed on the
spots.
podcast. Just
It's funny because it's true.
professional
Oh, the good old-
meetup
the good old
presenter,
days.
ladies and gentlemen.
That's what he does for a living. Oh my
Oh, my
goodness!
It's not
You know,
what-
one password also has a command line interface. I keep trying to remember it,
see
but
why I'd
I
want that.
never use it. I'm doing more and more in the command line. Matter of fact, you should be following Michael Dorinda if you're not. He's been doing a lot more Vim posting
Yes.
with
No, I
IntelliSense, and
definitely unfollowed him for that.
you want to get on board. So I told you earlier we pair programmed, and I had to fire up PHP Storm to run code with me. So we initially started in Zoom, and I was in the midst of coding when we did that, and so I had my my Vim open, and I thought to myself, I'm like, this is a good use case for PHP Storm. So I fired up PHP Storm and did the code with me.
Yes. And then
But,
I couldn't
yeah.
undo on the document while I was typing because none of my buttons worked.
So,
I need to.
wait,
I need
you're
to share with
you're
you.
locked into
man.
Vim mode?
No, he
If
wasn't
Eric-
in Vim mode.
Oh,
No,
No.
he's messing with
So
you.
I
no,
was
it's this
confused.
Mac thing.
Easy to do.
I was on my Mac and it has the control and the Windows key swapped. And because I'm using Barrier for my screen sharing, I'm going between Windows machine and Apple back and forth, and I keep accidentally locking my Windows machine, or
You know you can remap
so
those, right?
the key to remapping it is that you
one.
have to physically plug a keyboard because Barrier is a virtual keyboard which OS X doesn't recognize as a real keyboard. So to do the remapping, you have to physically plug in a different keyboard and then do the remapping and then unplug it, and it'll keep it after that.
I don't think that's correct, though.
Spent
I mean,
hours.
it might be. I don't know. Well, so were you trying to remap in Mac?
Yeah.
Because Mac has a thing that says, "Hey, when I hit the control button, the control key."
And because Barrier is a virtual,
it's in the keyboard.
Right,
settings.
it is. But because Barrier is a virtual keyboard, it maps it to a keyboard that doesn't exist. It maps it.
I'm not sure why that would matter.
Weird. I looked it up.
Whatever.
It's a known issue with Synergy.
It's not my problem.
Yeah.
It's your problem. So
Well, no, and the problem is
if you code in PHP and you like Laravel, you definitely want to follow Michael Dorinda on Twitter and encourage him to tweet more about them.
Yeah.
I was sharing with him today. I have a Vim domain called justusevimBitch.com, and for years I had just redirected it to just vim.org, and a couple weeks ago I redirected it to the Primogen's twitch.tv channel. That's another guy. If you like Vim, or if you're interested in Vim, you want to watch the Primogen on Twitch. I think he has a YouTube channel too. His YouTube channel is actually really good, because on Twitch he's just working, he's coding or whatever. But on YouTube, he does like little segments on using Vim. Not only Vim, other command line tools.
If only there was a way
really cool.
to share URLs to these things with the audience. And
I mean, I don't know how to. I guess I could type it in, because it redirects. So I can't. Here, I can type it in here. I guess here, just HTTPS. Just use. Is it just use Vim, bitch? I think that's what it is. Actually, I don't remember now. Let me see if that works. Nope, it's that's not it. It's use Vim, bitch. Shit, I forgot what it was now. Michael, what the hell is that URL again? I forget. Oh, I gotta look it up. I'm gonna look it up now.
It's not HTTPS. It's usevimbitch.com. No HTTPS.
Oh, it's just HTTP colon. Wow, if you would have shared that, that would have been awesome. It's just use Vim, bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds right. .com. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, and it now redirects to the Primogen's site. Yeah. Yeah, I've held on to that. I've been paying for that domain for like 20 years, and I've never used it for anything.
Well, that's true of like 90% of your domains.
Oh yeah, it's my domains, right? Because I can't log into Namecheap and see like 50 domains you own. Is that right?
Well,
is that
all
right?
mine make
okay,
all mine make money.
It's like when you're trying to
makes money for Namecheap.
If you're trying to pick a name for your kids, and you like don't want to just throw the name out. You know, maybe like when he's 12, he'll want to use that name that was cooler that you thought of. So you just keep it around.
I am a hoarder. I am a domain hoarder. I need to get rid of domains. I've got way too many of them. I still have like Wave PHP, which is the PHP conference we had, and then we were playing around with names. So I have Surf PHP. I don't know. I've got so many freaking PHP domains I need to cut loose. But it's like one of those things like they're like trading cards. You're like, one day this is going to have value. I'm sure of it. I'm just going to hold on to it. It's worth the $5.
You forget, until you don't renew it because you rely on your stupid hosting company to renew it for you, and they don't. And you've had the domain for 15 years, and then you lose it, and then all of a sudden it's up for auction for 20 grand. I'm like, nobody's going to pay 20 grand for that domain. I've had it for that long, and it's not a good domain. Just give me my domain back. Nope.
Well, see now, I think Eric
it.
might have stumbled across a valid use for NFTs here, where it's literally just a trading card.
I totally didn't mean to do that.
We got listed in PHP Annotated again I'm starting to get kind of jaded where like our podcast gets listed in these big publications. I'm like, yeah. You missed a couple episodes, but that's about right. But they covered some of the new RFCs that are coming in 8.1.
Okay.
Some interesting stuff.
I don't do internals anymore. Those guys.
Oh, sorry, did you
They go directly to my spam
3,500
folder.
got
now.
voted off the island?
They want 3,500 for my domain. I'm still on that. 'cause
Are
I'm
you
jaded
serious?
And I'm pissed off about it. Give me my domain
Okay,
back.
so I'm going to put something out there. John and I have been business partners for a couple of weeks now, and I've always used Hover for my domains. He's used Namecheap. To his credit, it is true to his name. It is cheaper than Hover is, but we have so many problems with freaking Namecheap and the domains he's hosting. Where just what he said, he'll have it set up for auto renew, and I know this because we have been business partners for about 8 years now. I know this because we'll have some key domains that we
9,
use.
but who's counting?
That I know we've never had a problem with having it renewed, and then all of a sudden 1 year it just stops working, and it's because fucking Namecheap decided not to auto renew it that year. So
I'm game to switch it all over to Hover. It's just such a pain in the ass.
You know my methodology for picking domain hosting site is that whichever one I can think of when I'm very drunk, because that's also how I pick domain names.
That's how you remember.
No,
But then how you remember where you got them at? Or you just
I usually
you're like, I'm gonna go to this registrar and then that registrar.
Usually I've got about 10 calls in the morning from India and Asian Pacific Island and all of these places offering to build websites for me because I forget to check the box that says anonymize my information. So yeah, I get the phone call that says, "Hey, we noticed that you bought a new domain name. Do you need a web developer?" And the domain is like, hirephpdevelopers.net. And I'm like, obviously I fucking don't. Whatever. I have a new pattern now. So I moved from San Diego, and I've had my phone number from San Diego for a long, long time. It's an 858 number. And my technique now is if I ever receive a phone call from an 858 number, it's spam. If I receive a phone call from 719, which is Colorado Springs, it's real. Because they would have to randomly guess that 719 is the thing I care about for me to
That's a damn
So what
good
you do, because your area code doesn't matter when you get a phone. So get a phone with a random area code that's not your real area code. And when you get calls from your actual area code, answer those. Don't answer any others.
I actually do have that because I got my phone number via Google Voice when I was in Florida. It happens to be a California number, but it also spells out my name.
Oh.
Wait, your Google Voice number is a California number?
Yeah, it's LA. It's 818.
Oh, okay, it's LA. Oh, okay, gotcha.
LA or Orange County. I don't know where it's at, but it just happened to be a California.
Yeah, and that was
number.
also when John's name was Slickmaster. So if you're looking for it, 818 Slickmaster is taken.
I like look, Michael Dorinda. He's my buddy. I'm gonna have to go register that one. You might not need phpstorm.com. I like that. So
that's going to make you so much money.
I posted a list of some of the domains I own in Discord, and some of the more interesting ones I own spotty.us.
Oh, what a dick!
That came from that drunk night with Freck in Chicago. I'm like, I'm gonna purge. I remember I went back up to my hotel room. I'm like, I'm gonna purchase spotty.us. typed it in, it redirects to him. And then I also purchased phparch.com because when we first started doing the PHP Architect podcast,
PHP Arch
they
is right. Yeah.
right, they like it. They like us to say PHP Arch, and I kept saying PHP Arc. So I went ahead and bought phparch.com and redirected to PHP Architect.
With affiliate.
I do think
Yeah,
that
you are
with
the
our
domain
affiliate,
name
yeah.
asshole everyone worries about when they're
Actually-
like, okay, I'm going to tell you guys this
That's
idea
a
I had.
fantastic idea. But again, with Wave PHP, I ended up purchasing SoCal PHP, Surf PHP. All that was for this conference we were going to have in Southern California, which we did have, and I thought it was a fantastic success, with the minor exception of not a lot of people bought tickets. But it was still one of the best conferences, PHP conferences out there.
That fourth one down, I think I bought, not you. Elephant
Oh, really?
Chat.
Oh, it's in,
I had
it's
this-
in Hover.
Yeah, I have access to Hover. I'm pretty sure because I own that domain, that Twitter handle, because I had this grand idea years ago that you just
Oh,
go
did you?
spit out.
You're
Yeah.
going to spin off PHP Ugly without me? Just call
Yeah,
it
yeah,
Elephant
yeah.
Chat. Cool. I like that you
No.
have...
Wait a minute. Story of a girl, anxiety under control while helping her. Wait, do I need to know something about you, John?
I have no clue what you're talking about.
I think you may not have the Twitter handle you think
Oh
you
no,
have.
never mind.
I didn't do the PHP in it. I just did Elephant Chat. I didn't do the PHP.
No,
Oh,
no,
okay.
mine was my Twitter one is Elephant Tips, not Elephant Chat. So maybe you did that.
That might be the porn version of what I was doing.
Yeah, all right.
Elephant Tips.
You've also got the Dyslexic Programmer, which is obviously one of the easiest to spell and the least problematic of all of the ones for someone who has dyslexia.
I can't. You would you have no idea how many times I put that through spell check before I registered it.
I have a good idea. Anyways, like I was saying, there's stuff coming down the pipe for 8.1, stuff that's been approved. It's coming out. You should be aware of it. The first big one that I put on the list here is deprecation for the serializable interface. It was decided at some point that
You're gonna share a browser.
it was
Sharing a browser? Are you sharing?
decided at some point that the
What are you sharing?
serializable interface is broken and that the serialized and unserialized magic methods should be implemented as a default part of the standard object. So now if you're using serializable and not using the serialized and unserialized methods, it will throw a deprecation notice. And this sort of starts off the trend of...
You're still sharing your browser.
This starts off the trend of deprecations that could cause major problems for people, and also the first reference I've seen to PHP 9 in an RFC. But
Well, that's what I like about the way PHP is handling things now is they are actually deprecating before removing. So deprecation notices aren't bad. It's like your application will continue to run,
wish everyone did that.
and then you'll start getting notices that, hey, you might want to change this before you try upgrading because it will break.
So one of the big ones here is added a return type declarations for internal methods. So there was a big sweep where a lot of internal methods got return type declarations, but a lot of stuff didn't get covered because it had strange issues, needle haystack needle type stuff. So this will start. So the biggest issue that they had was if you extend or if you override a default method, an internal method, then you have to match the type to the one that's defined in the internal method. This will now start throwing deprecation notices if you don't type your overrides of internal methods to the same as the internal method. This is something that it's again, deprecations aren't going to cause problems. They're just going to cause little notices. But when 9.0 comes out and these deprecations become fatal errors, a lot of projects out there that have been sort of poorly or barely maintained are going to have problems. I can think namely of WordPress, which this would probably just murder in its sleep.
Oh, so this isn't functions. This is if you're trying to extend like the datetime class.
Right.
That's where the
Which-
issue's at. Because you can't override the base functions of Haystack, like the array
Right.
map function.
But you can redefine the
Okay.
functionality, which older frameworks did a lot.
When you're extending
Yeah.
a class, right?
And this ties into the namespaces in bundled PHP extensions ticket that I really enjoyed. There's a lot of bundled in stuff that added methods, such as, well, let's see if I can find the correct good example here. OpenSSL certificate becomes OpenSSL/certificate. So now you can, with all these included extensions that you can get, you can namespace them correctly so you don't have these giant 40 character methods in your code all the time. So OpenSSL_DH_compute_key becomes DH compute key in the OpenSSL namespace. Yeah, it makes sense. Should have been done a long time ago, and it gives some nice cleanliness to code. It's just a little modernization change, and yeah, 37-1 vote on passing that one. So
I bet it was Ben Ramsey that was the dissenter, right?
I would say I know that feeling.
Derek.
It shouldn't feel bad.
Oh God, did we just see it? We just
You broke it. You just. God damn it, Thomas. Thomas is.
Huh.
Oh God. Thomas is breaking PHP.net. This is awesome. Sarah, you around? Tell somebody to reboot the server.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, Derek Rathens. That's who I thought it was.
We
I
are.
wonder what his-
Scroll down to the
Oh.
sponsors. Scroll
The
down to
creator of
sponsors.
XDebug.
I wonder
Yeah.
what his reasoning was. For
No.
You see a Diego Dev logo in there? Do you see a Diego Dev logo?
Yep,
there it is. Yay! Diego Dev is a sponsor of them.
There you go. No, I can see why Derek was a dissenter, because it does make XDebug. It does add more work for him in maintaining XDebug to have to remap all of the extensions that he's already mapped.
I bet it doesn't. You don't have to remap them, though, do you?
Well,
I'm-
because he
I'm
has to.
assuming it's going to be
No,
backwards
but because
compatible.
he has to handle all cases in XDebug, then he'd have to add new mappings for namespaced or not namespaced. So, yeah, like ZTSD compress becomes ZTSD/compress. It's, there's a lot of stuff in the existing practice that's just dirty and gross and ugly. So, cleans up a lot of stuff.
The crypto ones would be nice.
Yes,
That's for sure.
crypto stuff is going to be nice. So finally, from me at least, we have some news from our lovely friend Bruce Shiner that there was an executive order signed to improve the nation's cybersecurity. Did you guys read any of this stuff?
Negative Ghost
No,
Rider.
I did not.
Well, let's go to Patreons first, and then we'll talk about it.
No.
Thank you to all of our
Patreons.
patrons. Thank you to Cloudways and Honey Badger. We've got patrons.
Patrons.
Damn it.
I did it. I started it. My fault.
Thank you to our new patron, Kevin Y.
We got 2 more in there too. I didn't put the new ones together. So I use Vim. I was able to randomize the lists that you do a nice little scroll now, and we're not so worried about hurting Buttery's ego. But I added Wayne, who just signed up at the beginning of the show, and I don't know how you pronounce that one. No.
Hit us up
So
on.
thanks.
Has been active in Discord.
Yeah, tell us how to pronounce that in Discord because we need to know that. So thank you.
Yeah, and John has the list of reward members, so hopefully things will be going
sometime
out
early
shortly.
2022.
I just have to find the stickers. He says I have them, but I don't have stickers.
Uh-oh. Okay.
We'll figure it out.
I know I had them shipped to your house, but yeah, we can ship more. Anyways, yeah, your executive order. You want to talk about that? Because I had one more thing I wanted to talk about too. Here we go. Butter. We just lost Buttery. we knew we had to coddle him.
And he doesn't get the notoriety on the stream because we're on the wrong scene. Sorry, Buttery.
Yeah, that's all right.
We
We'll
love
suppress
you.
him. We'll continue to suppress him.
You're
muted, Tom.
Thomas.
Maybe we shouldn't let him know
God, I
that.
hate
Maybe
you
we should just let him go for a while. You're not muted now.
shit.
We heard that.
This applies a self-certification process to companies that the federal government buys software from. And you might think self-certification is kind of BS or doesn't really get you a whole lot. The issue here is that if you self-certify and say, I'm following all these rules, things are great, everything's perfect security-wise, and it turns out that it's not, then you get blacklisted from the federal purchase list. So you'll just get removed from what the government is allowed to buy. So self-certification in this case actually does work quite well. And you might not realize it, but there are a number of industries that self-certify, and it's worked fine for them. The ESRB, the Video Game Rating Board, is an industry self-certification system. The MPAA is an industry self-certification system. It's not actually tied to the government in any way. So self-certification can get you what you want. And it takes expense away from the process. So there's a new set of cybersecurity standards as far as password strength, cryptographic strength, things like that, frequency of testing, data storage, technology, encryption, things like that. So this is going to give us, hopefully, more secure software in general. And if you didn't know, this comes in response to the pipeline being hijacked in America and a bunch of people in the southern states trying to put gasoline in plastic bags, which it turns out are made from gasoline. So only did see one fire that was a direct cause of it, though, and it was a Humvee, so there was no real big loss there.
Hey, put the Patreons back up. Yeah, and we'll talk about this last thing. So, do you guys? This is not related to the Patreons, but I figure this is a better screen than our faces. So just keep that scrolling. So, do you guys think IRC is dead?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So if you weren't aware, Freenode had a freaking breakdown, and I guess
What's Freenode?
I guess a company. So Freenode was like the IRC server to go to. So IRC itself is never dead, right? It's open source. It'll always be there.
Yeah, so it's Gopher.
It's not going anywhere. That's true. But if you went to any IRC, or if you went to an IRC channel, there was a good chance it was a popular one. It was on the Freenode servers. And this was a completely volunteer ran group this should sound very familiar, people, because we're all PHP developers, and all this PHP internal people are volunteers, and somehow some company weaseled its way in and quote unquote purchased Freenode. I'm still not clear how that happened, but then they decided, okay, Freenode is not going to be free anymore. We're going to want to make some money off it, and just started like a lot of the volunteers. They just started letting the volunteers go, and it was crazy.
Yeah, I heard that it was like a mass exodus because it was
Yep.
a lot of open source developers who had issues with the new owner, who is the CEO / founder of Private Internet Access (PIA), which I do use.
What is that?
It's a VPN software. You know, and this is not something I've like.
heard of that one.
This is something that scratches my head every time I'm just falling asleep. But this prevalence of VPN providers that's popping up right now, and how they're pushing their product is fascinating because it's happening at the same time as the mass SSL adoption or the mass HTTPS certificate adoption. So now the things that are advertised, almost no sites run without security certificate or without encryption. So the VPN brings nothing to the table for website browsing.
Right. It brings a little bit of anonymity as far as the providers aren't getting your IP address at the end of the day.
The providers aren't, but the advertisers that use footprinting still are, and third-party cookies still are. So it's if the site doesn't care about your privacy, which, no surprise here, sites don't care about your privacy, then VPNs don't provide you anything on that front. And if it is an HTTPS site, they don't get anything beyond the domain name that you hit. They don't know what pages you hit. They don't know any of the data you submitted. They don't know anything but the domain name, and only the first time you hit it, I believe. So
no,
don't believe
every
so.
time.
I guess since you're hitting the IP directly, yeah, they could still tell it. But yeah, it's the VPNs, now that they're less effective than they ever were before, have become a huge product.
That's because of all the hacks that are happening, and people are like, I need to protect my data.
And the misunderstanding of what these hacks are and how people get malware and what it does and what third-party cookies do.
We actually have a new client that, I mean, I've been talking to them for years, and I've done some SSL work for them on some of their application for free up until this past week. And they have one of their clients, their main website is HTTP, not behind a SSL certificate. And one of their clients put up a VPN and now can't access their quote unquote builder. And I go in and I start digging around, and I'm like, I can easily put a load balancer in front of this with their wildcard certificate. That's not a problem. I do that, but they're loading assets from all over the place. Some some libraries, websites that are HTTP, they have their own bucket being delivering content, but it's HTTP only via S3. So for me to put everything behind an SSL certificate, it takes a lot of work, and I'm trying to explain this to them. And then I start digging a little bit more. I'm like, oh wait, your server's still running PHP 5.3. You might want to address this. Oh, look, there's a .bak folder on here. Do you have any sort of deployment process? I got so many questions.
Why is there a lock file on index.php? Is someone currently editing index.php on production?
Oh, fun.
All right. That's it. Let's stop making fun of clients now. We're gonna have to roll.
They
we're
don't
gonna have
listen.
to end this. No, a lot of people don't listen.
I have one more thing to talk about real quick, because since Thomas brought up the whole phone number thing, have you guys heard of Stir Shaken?
No.
Stir shaken,
So-
having stroke, call
so-
ambulance.
So this is actually the new thing in telecommunications, where it's almost like an SSL certificate for phone calls. So now the newest thing is people making phone calls. You can set your caller ID to basically whatever you want. Now you have to be able to prove that you have the right to use that caller ID to get a certain score. So if you can prove that I am this company and I own this phone number and I can make calls from it, you get like an SSL certificate that's almost like an extended validation certificate. And I'm glossing over all the details. It's very generic, but if you have that proof, you get the extended validation.
All you,
And then there's the next level down where you get some sort of attestation saying I'm allowed to use this, but there's no guarantee that you really own that number. And it turns out your carrier, like Google Fi or AT&T, Sprint, uses these third-party companies to give every phone call a score to whether it's spam or it gets through to you. So this is now going to play a huge role in that scoring of your phone calls. And then on top of that, as these things are being signed, you can also start to add in more data to your phone call. I am calling from Diego Dev. Here's my logo and here's what I'm calling about. So in the future on your phone, you're not just going to see the phone number, but you're going to see my logo pop up and why I'm calling you.
well, let's be clear. In the future, my phone won't have a phone number.
It's fascinating.
This is
Okay,
super
you're
fascinating.
talking
And-
about way in the future. I'm talking about it's due
and
like
this-
in a month.
This is on the FCC
Yeah.
website. So this is something that's in production now. This is something that's been rolled out.
Yeah, deadline for carriers to adopt it is I think June 30th. So they're all
Yep,
scrambling.
June 30th.
Twilio is trying desperately to get all of their ducks in a row to offer to make it all work.
Yes, and all you have to do is provide a
this is
copy
so
of your car's
cool,
extended
fascinating.
warranty.
This is cool. Yeah.
It played into Thomas's comment about area codes because it's so easy now to buy area codes, and every company is doing it. They're calling somebody an 858 area code, so they have an 858 number to make it look like it's a local number.
Mm-hmm.
Honest to
Yep.
God,
And
all I want
so-
is a SIM card with data only, not with without a phone number. Just give me that.
Yeah, I mean, you can get that. Get an iPad. You can get that.
Yeah.
I mean, my iPad has a SIM card in it. There's no phone. I mean, there might be a phone number attached to it, but there's no way. At least
So
I don't know if there's
give
any
that
way
to
to
me at a
call it,
discount.
or I can use it as a phone.
That's what I want. Why are we paying for telephone
Whatever.
networks to exist when everyone has
because of government.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Government.
You guys, it's time to cut you guys off. You guys are getting all poo poo. Whatever. Okay, that's gonna be it. We're done.
We're
I just wanted to share
done.
something
Can't-
interesting.
Can't tolerate you guys. This, if you can believe it, this episode 237 of PHP Ugly. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being there. Thanks to our 3 new Patreons on Patreon. Thank you for all of the people who support us on Patreon. We appreciate it immensely.
Even if you don't support us on Patreon, thank you for listening to us ramble.
Thanks for hanging out with us in Discord. I do enjoy it. That's going to be it for the show this week. I'm Eric.
I'm John.
I'm Tom. Happy birthday, Dad.
Ugly.
Keep it ugly. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Dad.
Yeah.
I like that.
1, 2, 1, 2. Coming off the top, y'all know how we do. Listen, I'ma drop a freestyle you can cherish. I'ma send a shout out to the host named Eric. Yo, he's never on some average shit. You know, Eric, he stays loud and passionate. I'm about to break it down for y'all with the clever song. Yo, shout the host named Thomas, cause he's never wrong. Yo, shout to John. You know that he's smart and quiet, unlike my freestyles, which cause a riot. I'm about to do it like this, cause the people love me. Shouts out to PHP, the ugly. It's called ugly cause it's not professional, but I'm about to come through and bless it with style. So let's do it when I'm spitting, I perfume the room. Yo, the segment of the show is called Doom and Gloom. That came from Thomas. Yeah, can nobody go beyond this? I get the mic and then I'm about to keep it like a promise. Yeah, and y'all know we fill them up with anguish. We talking about the PHP, the programming language. About to break it down, no exaggeration. What do y'all do for a living? Web applications. Okay, I can dig it. My words spray tight. They getting together on the Thursday nights. Yeah, when it comes to rhyming, you can call me the new dude. I spew true lyrics while y'all broadcast on YouTube. So let's get it. You know my lyrics are major. All up in the comments, they got plenty of haters, but they doing what they doing. Keep it ugly. We ending every show with the saying it's lovely. Let's go. Hey, shout out to y'all. Peace to the whole squad, man. Hope your channel is doing real well on YouTube. Hope you guys are having fun. And it was an honor and blessing to do this little custom freestyle for y'all. Hope you enjoy. Stay up.
Oh,
Awesome.
good episode. Kill Zencaster. A brisk hour and 40 minutes.
All right, I'm gonna take my dog out. I'll be right back.
They're really reaching with this, this acronym for stir shaken.
I still can't make the connection. How's the acronym
STIR
apply?
is Secure Telephone Identity Revisited. And shaken
Okay.
is using tokens. Shaken. Token.
Oh,
Yeah. So they totally got halfway there, and they were like, we can't fucking make it work. Fuck it. I don't care anymore. It doesn't matter.
just see what domains are available
Exactly.
and name that.
Is there Stir Shaken? Is that the name of the new James Bond?
Hey Frank, thanks for hanging out with us, buddy. Frank is a Diego dev
Don't just
person.
throw him under the bus like that.
I know, right? He might have been trying to be respected in the community, and I just submarined it, or what's it called, harpooned
Yes.
it, or I just killed him.
Just murdered him. I guarantee they're going to come up with ways around this so fast.
I stand proud, Diego Dev. There we go. I need a Diego Dev logo in Discord. Do I have a Diego Dev logo? I do. What? That's what you should have been looking for. I should have posted that when you were looking for those supporters. I need to add some other. What other logos do I have in here? I don't have a PHP ugly one.
Any news on the artwork?
Oh, I have a PHP one. No, Andy, are you listening? C films.
Something tells me that just
C-films.
yelling Andy.
You always slide in at the end.
Something tells me that just yelling Andy on the podcast isn't the most efficient way to reach out to him.
You don't know. He listens from time to time. He's not a developer,
But even if he
listens.
always listens, still not the most efficient way of reaching out.
Andy!
If he listens every Friday,
my
I
artwork?
guarantee, though, you can get a hold of him on a Wednesday.
He's got one of the coolest jobs. I don't know if I'm allowed to say what he does for a living, but I can tell you who he works for. He works for Major League Baseball.
You've told me
And
about this.
he has
yeah.
probably one of the coolest jobs in Major League Baseball. I'll ask next time I speak with him. I'll see if I'm allowed to talk about it. I mean, he's not drug testing the players or anything weird like that. It's nothing like that. It's just it's like he has a job.
He's
like
the
I'm
team
like,
penis inspector.
really? Somebody pays you to do that? Somebody pays you to do that? Are you freaking kidding me? And yeah, I'm very envious of his current gig. He's done it all though. I mean, he's been that guy who does like the artwork on the scoreboard.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
he's done everything. Yeah. He's I mean, he's obviously a talented artist, but he's done a lot. He's cool. He's a cool guy. He's fun to talk to. He can tell you stories, man. Oh man, are we waiting for John, or should we just like leave?
Just keep the cameras on. Just empty chairs.
I got my I don't know if you can see it. It's compact now, but I got my row machine.
I saw earlier
got my
today.
row machine.
I saw one of your children rowing on it.
Oh, that's right. When we were pair programming.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
I wasn't just like dropping in on your webcam or anything.
I cannot neither confirm or deny your suspicion there, Buttery Crumpets. But I don't know if I would be envious of it if that was his that was his
100%
gig.
you still would be.
Probably.
I know your love
badly.
of baseball.
I never saw myself playing Major League Baseball, but I thought for sure I was good enough to play A-ball, minor league baseball. I so badly wanted to play just
It
one
seems
season
pretty
of
easy.
A-ball.
I've watched it.
Well, there gets to be a point, especially with baseball, because there's just so much talent out there, and there's so much training. Like if they see somebody have like the raw material that they need, they can make them a pitcher. They can make them a shortstop. There really becomes a part with baseball. I don't know if it's true with other sports, but with baseball, of not so much how much talent you have, because unless you have like sick amount of talent, like you just shadow everybody around you, it really becomes a part of who you know. It's like, all right, this person has enough talent.
Well, but
we can use them. We can find a position.
You've listened to the story about the MLB the MLB petitioning Congress for a law that exempted them from minimum wage.
Yeah.
And like they basically just bought 4 congressmen who snuck it into like the middle of nowhere and got it passed. And so like minimum wage for AAA guys.
Why do you do this? Why do you shit on everything?
Because everything's shit.
Yeah. I know. It wasn't about the money, man. I just wanted to play.
No,
I
but
just
it's
wanted
like-
for an
It's
entire
like
year.
$12,000.
The only thing I had to focus on.
It's so low.
And you're playing baseball for like 4 months out of the year. You get another job. That's what I'm saying. I think that's all I wanted. Just like one season for a couple of months, all I had to think about, all I had to do was play baseball. And I so badly wanted that and didn't get it. I wasn't that good. I mean, I wasn't that talented in high school. I didn't play college. And then when I was a young adult, I just, you still have those opportunities, but like the older you get, the just ridiculously better you have to be.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like at 22, 23, even without playing in college, I could have like maybe walked on an open tryout, but I just had to be so freaking good. It's ridiculous. So, but man, I just miss playing baseball. I just miss it. No, so C Films and Discord asks if it's a slow sport. It is to watch if you don't know what you're looking for. If you don't know what you're looking for, but it's one of those games. If you know what's going on, if you know the intricacies of baseball, it can be very exciting, and especially when you understand like you have a guy on second base. It's the top of the or the bottom of the ninth, and you're down by 1 run, and you realize that person standing at home plate If they hit a home run, the game's over. They won. Or if they could hit a single, chances are the guy in second can get to home. And it's just like understanding all that stuff. So yeah, it's slow to you. That's common. That's a common thing. It's definitely not a lot of run and gun sort of stuff. What are you doing? What's happening? God. Oh God. I need new friends. Like I'm not hearing anything. Thomas,
Yeah.
are you still there?
Uh,
The headphones just died.
oh.
There we go. You're back.
Oh, you are on the wrong mic now.
Yeah, my headphones just went wacky. Let me fix all that. And how's that? Is that better?
I think as far as a televised sport, golf is much faster than baseball.
You're out of your mind. What are you talking about? You guys are just trying to piss me off. See,
Have you ever watched televised golf?
Ban you. Not for more than 15, 20 minutes before
they've
I fall
got all
asleep.
they've got all the tech now for like tracking with a ball as it's in air and then like doing the
Oh my
over.
God! Do you not watch baseball?
No.
It's all about analytics. It's literally they talk about AWS Cloud running the analytics.
No,
they
not
tell you all the
analytics.
pitches.
I've
They tell
seen
you-
that stuff.
They tell you exit velocity and shows you where it goes. Don't
So-
go here with me, Thomas.
But what happens?
I tolerate a lot of shit with you. Don't you
What happens
do
when
this.
one golfer
Don't
is
you do it.
done? They switch immediately to another golfer at a different hole who's teed up and ready to go.
Let me find what domain can I start my new podcast under? I'm going to come up with not doom and gloom podcast, no microwave podcast. I think let's see if no microwave podcast is available. Jesus Christ, I can't. Michael, are you still listening? Do you guys have an opening with Laravel News? Because I need a gig. These guys are so mean to me. Maybe I lost one of them. I try to be nice. I try to make them sound impressive. Not this week. Everybody's gonna sound like Mickey Mouse on the podcast version. I'm gonna just speed up everybody's voice. The whole podcast is gonna be done in like 15 minutes.
Except for that intro part that just broke your heart.
Which intro part?
What
I miss?
We weren't recording.
Michael's still listening. I might have another gig. I'm a free agent, Michael.
And yeah,
Whatever
golf
it
on
is.
TV is significantly faster than baseball on TV.
Shut up. Just shut up.
In person,
Just shut
golf
up.
is
I
way
will
slower.
kick you. I will kick you out of the show, Michael. Please, Michael. I need a more accepting and friendly team of podcasters.
Wow.
All right.
This is amazing.
C Films, if you want to talk bowling, the wrong guy is not here. You want to talk to John. So here's a fun fact to listeners who might not know this about us. If you Google John Congdon and bowling, you will find a nice long list of old bowling podcasts that John used to do. John, C-O-N, let's see if I can find it for you guys. Congdon Bowling. I don't know if John was a professional bowler, but he
wasn't
pretty
professional.
close.
No.
He wasn't professional? He was pretty close to it, I think. This guy worked bowling. He lived and breathed it. I found... Where are the videos? I need to find the videos. There are videos out there. Here comes. Shh, nobody saying anything.
So,
You don't have to.
we were
don't
just
say
talking
anything.
about
It's all
tennisballs.com.
good.
I think this
Fun-
might be one. Where are your videos, John? Where are your
What are you
bowling
talking
ball
about?
videos, John?
On YouTube.
Fun fact.
I can't. Why am I finding them?
Oh, you talking about talkbowling.com?
Yeah. Where are those at?
Talkbowling.com. or on YouTube on Talk Bowling.
So, did you guys ever see the movie Kingpin with Bill Murray in it?
yes.
Oh, wait a minute, John. Is this you, John? Wait,
It's what me.
is that you bowling, John? That's you bowling, isn't it, John? That is. It says bowling stuff, John Congdon, right there.
Now you're gonna make me go look.
Oh,
Yeah, that's me.
look at all this.
So,
Everybody has to go subscribe to bowlingball.com's YouTube channel now. They make them wonder why so many people end up.
These were
What is
videos.
this? You guys have, like,
This
a
was
private
this was
thing
an this is when I did the editing. So I edited all
something
these
he
videos.
has never, not once, done for this podcast.
I have.
The
once.
one time he tried, it was a horrible mess. And we've asked him not to do it
200
again.
and something episodes.
It was bad. So yeah, I did these. We either filmed at lanes that we bowled at typically, or at these private lanes. Yes. So the owner of Daytona Bowl, when it was shut down, he took 2 lanes into a barn that he had.
What?
Yeah.
That's
so
something
we
you
would
can do?
so we would go there and just bowl.
That is insane.
So,
That's pretty pimpant when it comes to
you
bowling.
guys haven't seen this.
Actually,
that's-
saw while you're bringing that up, I watched an episode today of the Try Guys, and I don't know if you know them, but it's a YouTube group. They're 4 guys that take on various people, and the one I saw today was them taking on a professional bowler, and she just
I
schooled
know
them
what you're
all.
talking about. Yeah. So you guys haven't seen this, but this is one of my 2 monitors. It's a 34 inch ultra wide. So I have 2 monitors. So I have my spleen. I have both of my screens split up in half like this, so that in the space where I used to have 3 monitors, I now have 2, but functionally I have 4 monitors.
How do you like the ultra?
that's-
Because I've been researching ultrawides for a while, and I'm back
I
and forth on
really
whether
like
it's
it.
worth it or not.
I really, really like it. Like I can't show you right now. This setup,
What do we have?
I'm still using half
big.
of my other monitor. So my main monitor right here for doing the video stuff is now pulled in front of me because I got a monitor arm for it, for both of them. So I have my main monitor straight in front of me and my second monitor off to the side, and that's where Discord lives. So
We have 27-inch monitors.
John, I wish you cared about our podcast half as much as you cared about these bowling ball podcasts. Look at how happy you were. Look at you. You dressed. You took a shower.
Yeah.
Your hair's
no,
all
we made him
done,
smoke
nice and
weed
neat.
once, and it was all downhill from there.
Good God.
What are you talking about? Are you back on like the actual podcast part?
Yeah, I'm looking at your Talk Bowling episodes. I'm at 110 now. Where's the other ones? These
Yeah.
things are gee, all clean shaven. You look like you care. You look like you're enjoying yourself. You're doing like the little things, like the little intro. You're seeing John Bowl. You know, like he cares. Like he's doing the extra mile shit.
I was young.
Yeah, he does look like he's about to have a heart attack in 10 years.
Trying to get those two guys on board with like the whole podcasting thing. I was like, we need to do this, and they are way better bowlers than I am. Like the guy, what you're looking at, the guy on the left in the red shirt is Brian Hallstrom. He held the state record in Florida for a long time. He's bowled, I think it was a 889 or 890 series. So it's 300, 290. Tony in the middle, he basically runs bowlingball.com. He's like second in command at bowlingball.com. He's been there forever. Both of them really great guys.
You guys had a podcast on bowling, but we can't even do a full podcast on PHP. Oh, these are pretty short, huh? Like 10 minutes, 13 minutes, yeah. This is 9 years ago.
I was trying to keep them short.
You're still trying to keep this podcast.
I use this,
dude. 27,000 subscribers. I mean, that's.
What does PHP Ugly have?
Man.
27.
I think we're up to like 300.
350.
Where the 350.
Yep. And bowlingball.com is currently the thumbnail on ours. So we're just sending our 350 back your way.
Yeah. Yeah, see films. PHP broke John Congdon. He used to
no,
like a man who cared.
I was the developer for bowlingball.com. I wrote their application. It was a PHP application until I moved to San Diego, and I quit at that point. They took my entire code base, and they didn't want to hire another developer, so they converted it to .NET.
That went real well.
They took a year and a half, 2 years to convert everything over to a .NET application, and I don't know that it's necessarily improved since then. I think it got to a point where, hey, we have our site up, we're selling stuff. I don't know if they're still adding features to it or not, but bowlingball.com is still a client of Diego Dev to this day, and that was 9 years ago that I moved out here.
How amazing would it be? How amazing would it be if
crazy.
Microsoft bought Freenode from underneath that guy? They're like, Freenode should be free. We're the free people now.
And what's
so this?
I don't understand the whole Freenode thing. I really don't see what do they see like Slack and Teams? I'm like, yeah, no, we have that already. Let's just charge people to use Freenode.
I don't know. Okay, so do you remember this scene from Kingpin? The final scene?
Not specifically. I'm sure if I saw it, I'd be like, oh yeah,
so
I remember.
In order to beat the main character, he has to bowl 3 strikes in a row. And the movie trivia I read today was that he actually did bowl 3 strikes in a row on film, and that his celebration was like his genuine celebration for bowling a turkey.
I believe it.
Oh really?
I believe it. Yeah. Bill Murray's got some athletic
He's
prowess
a strange guy.
He doesn't look like it, but hey, he's a rich, strange guy.
We didn't get to talk crypto.
It. I'm done. I want to get this. Thank God. Hey, I didn't bring up Livewire either.
No,
so
you brought up
back
Vim. It's
off.
just as bad.
Pump the freaking brakes. We didn't talk about them.
I have
We didn't.
We used it as a way to talk about domains.
I have a friend who got into Dogecoin because he loves Elon Musk so much, and like convinced everyone he knows to get on Dogecoin at like 65, 70 cents. And now like
That sounds great because you said it's going
it's
to $10.
currently at 37 cents.
But you told me it's going to $10, and I bought like
No,
$1,000 worth of
Ada's
it.
going to $10.
Oh yeah, you remember your whole Bitcoin ransomware philosophy? Yeah, that would not be going too well right now. Jesus Christ, I saw my Bitcoin drop off the freaking ledge last week. It's fine.
Really?
I mean, I've lost probably half my Bitcoin.
Yeah.
In the
What's
last
it at right now?
38.
Well, you lost. You haven't bought since it was less than.
So it's at
20.
39.
Oh, I'm already. I mean, I could lose it all, and I've tripled my money. I cashed out. When I cashed out, I had tripled my money, and I just left everything else in there, and that's what's been bouncing up and down.
I'm jealous. I didn't know you had left it in there.
My current.
I mean, not all. Like
my
I said,
current coin, Ada, every time it goes up 1 cent, that's $180 for me. And it's like skyrocketing. It's going to be huge. That's not financial advice.
Way to protect yourself. All right.
Yep.
Let's end the stream. Let's call it.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone, for listening. Hanging